and welcome back to Football a la Turca episode 9. This one will be covering matchday 28 results of the Turkish Süper Lig, including the Besiktas Basaksehir and Fenerbahçe Galatasaray derbies. We'll start off on Friday, however, but before we do that, I'm going to welcome my co-host, my returning co-host, Burak Sezgin and Özer Dindjer, both coming off a 1-week hiatus. Burak, of course, was in New York for a WrestleMania weekend and wrestling extravaganza, basically an entire week of wrestling. Burak, how's it coming down from any jet lag or anything like that?
Jet lag, as I get older, the jet lag gets worse and worse. I mean, I was back at work today. I couldn't get to sleep until 3 a.m. last night because of jet lag, and it's been a nasty. But I had lots of sweets from America. I had lots of cool memories, lots of photos on my new iPhone that I bought whilst I was out there as well. So that was an awesome little acquisition.
Oh, that's coincidental.
Had lots of shisha.
I just bought a new iPhone too.
Indeed, I'm loving portrait mode. I'll have to share some snaps.
I don't even
I'm
know
off
what
to
that
Istanbul
is.
soon as well. Portrait mode, it's where you make yourself look 10 times more handsome than you are already.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the only reason I bought the S1E9 is for portrait mode as well.
It's worked wonders for my dating life.
Okay, I don't need to do that. I'm handsome enough as is. But I did buy. I bought an XS as well actually this week. Coincidentally, Kim's phone actually broke down, and I was looking for a new phone for her. And while I was doing my research on the XS, I was like, this is kind of interesting. I'm just gonna order this. So I went ahead and ordered one on Amazon. Got a nice discount on it as well. So. Pretty happy about that, but this is not an iPhone propaganda show. Özer, how was your week? How was your week off, I should say?
Yeah, very good, very relaxing. I'm fully rehabilitated, almost actually. I was in London last weekend on the Monday, and I was out in the evening, which is why I couldn't attend. But so far less glamorous plans than Burak. No jet lag for me this week, but slight hangover from the weekend. Because I had a friend in town in Dublin who came to visit. So we did all the touristy drinking things like the Guinness Factory and Temple Bar and all that kind of fun stuff. But I'm slowly crawling back to life. So it's good to be back on the show, guys. Good to be back.
Good to have both of you.
Excellent.
Back.
Next time we're in London, hit me up when you're in London next time.
Well, you weren't home this
time.
time.
I will.
Be a bit of a beer.
I will. Oh yeah, deal.
Excellent.
Okay, well, it's
right,
great to
and
have...
then we can.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I said, and then we can talk shit about you, Kaan.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's great to have both of you back on, but we have someone else coming back. Umut Naderi is back with us as well to talk about the derby extravaganza, of course, Fenerbahçe Galatasaray, which we'll be talking about later. And we wanted to have Pat on as well, but unfortunately Pat couldn't make it today. He had too much work to do, so we couldn't line that up. And I also asked another friend of mine, Arman Polat, another Fenerbahçe fan, but unfortunately he was still at work, so that didn't work out either. So it's gonna be 2-on-1 tonight, and I'll be doing my very best to officiate that match between Burak and the two Galatasaray boys. But Umut, thanks for coming back on, and how was your week?
It was fine actually. I was in Antalya, then came back in Sunday to Istanbul from a flight, and reached to the Galatasaray Fenerbahçe derby at the last very minute. It was really shocking actually for me. Hard time.
Let's save that for later. But you actually went to the stadium to watch the game?
No, it was away.
Yeah, I know.
It was an away game.
I know you go to other away games too, like Basaksehir, Kasımpaşa, I think.
Yeah, I think it's considered a dangerous game.
It's a high-risk game.
I don't want to injure myself. Yeah.
Well, I think
because all fans are crazy.
The worst part's probably having to sit in the stadium for an hour or two afterwards before you're allowed to be let out. At least that's what it's like for European games usually. But let's get started on the happenings in the Turkish Super League for matchday 28. So on Friday, Bursaspor, Trabzonspor squared off. This is an interesting match, especially given what happened 2 seasons ago, where Bursaspor were in a similar position in the league, where they were fighting relegation, and Trabzonspor kind of gave them a helping hand, so to speak. But that would not happen on this night. Bursaspor would lose at home 1-0 to Trabzonspor after a fabulous Abdülkadir Ömür strike. There were 2 penalty shouts early on by Bursa, but none of them... There were 2 penalty shouts early on by Bursa, but neither of them were awarded or checked by VAR. There was a very curious situation where Jose Sosa was shown a red card, but immediately after that was shown a yellow card. I think the referee probably just made a mistake in terms of cards, either that or somebody corrected him in his ear. I'm not sure what happened exactly. And in the second half, there was a penalty awarded, but this one was toward Trabzonspor after Abdülkadir Ömür got tripped a little bit in the box. I don't think he really went down, but he was definitely fouled. VAR awarded the penalty, but Jose Sosa missed it, or rather Okan of Bursaspor saved it. And then just one more point I'd want to note here is that Uğurcan made 2 really good saves, the young Trabzonspor goalkeeper, and he had a good match all around. But Bursaspor continue to fail to grab points, really. Another loss. They weren't terribly bad here, but another defeat at home. Trabzonspor continue their winning ways and continue to breathe down Besiktas's neck for 3rd place. But Bursaspor, it's starting to look very grim for them. Burak, I'm going to start off with you. Your thoughts, are Bursaspor going to make it, or are they going to go down this season?
I think they're going to be the club that survives. I think the ones that are going to go down will be Göztepe, Erzurum and Akhisar as it stands at the moment. I think Bursaspor maybe have got a little bit more quality than the other 3 teams, even though in this match they could have played all night and not scored. Like you mentioned, the Trabzonspor goalkeeper made some great saves, even though that Bursaspor had 3 shots on target, 10 corners in the game as well. So they did attack, but they just were lacking in that final third. So Uğurcan was inspired, but I think it's a little bit of lack of quality up front in Bursaspor that's letting them down. And like it took pretty much a wonder goal from Abdülkadir to break the deadlock. And I know Trabzon had the penalty saved. For me, it was a penalty. There was a foul on Abdülkadir that went to VAR. And I just thought both teams just put in a bit of a bad defensive performance all round. But even Trabzonspor were struggling up front. I think they only had 2 shots on target all game as well. And like I say, one of them was that pretty much wonder strike almost from Abdülkadir. Great left-footed, looped in over the keeper. Did Trabzon deserve the win? Debatable, but if you have someone like Abdülkadir who can pull something like that out of his pocket, then you deserve to get the win. And Bursaspor in trouble, but I think they will avoid the drop.
Yeah, and Trabzonspor continue to win, like I already mentioned, but not always as impressive. Özer, do you think they're going to pass Besiktas in the standings, or is 4th as best as they can do?
I think 4th is going to be as best as they can do, yeah. Although they have a lot of quality and they deserve to stay in the top 4 and be in Europe, I think Besiktas are just in a league above Trabzon right now. The form that Besiktas are in, particularly the key players like Burak Yilmaz, are just going to carry them through to 3rd place. Yep. As for Bursa, I think that they have I agree with Burak, they have just enough quality to probably stay up on balance, which is a real shame for Göztepe.
Yeah, for sure, but
yeah,
two well-supported clubs, so we're going to lose one of them most likely, which is a shame, really. Although I have no love lost for Bursaspor, of course, but still, I mean, for the league, it's definitely a loss if they go down, but the same goes for Göztepe. Umut, as an Izmir native, what do you think? Is it going to be Göztepe? Is it going to be Bursa? Or perhaps is Erzurum or Akhisar going to sneak out of that bottom 3? Who's going to go down?
I don't think Akhisar will make an impact after the...
No spoilers.
This week. Yeah, I don't think at all. But as a Göztepe fan, because I was grown up in Izmir, I kind of like the club. I played for them in the lower stages when I was a kid. I think I want them to survive, but it is quite unlikely after these weeks, and they are not playing good enough. Actually, I think Bursaspor has the chance to survive, but both are like in a bad shape. Bursa relies on Yusuf Erdogan too much, and relying on one player is a bad sign of effect.
Yeah, it's true. We saw it with Besiktas overly relying on Quaresma the past, I don't know, 1/2 season or so, and it's of course a player on a different level, but still, it's never good to overly rely on one player. Yeah, that takes us basically to the Saturday early game, Çaykur Rizespor Göztepe. We already spoke a lot about Göztepe here, but another team that can't get it done, really. Çaykur Rizespor winning this one 1-0, rebounding from that 2-7 trashing against Besiktas last week. The only goal in the match came through Atif Çeşu in the 51st minute. It was really pretty much one-way traffic. I didn't count a single proper opportunity for Göztepe. Vedat Muric even had the goal disallowed for offside in the first half. That was on the edge, but it was definitely, I think it was a correct call. The line showed it, but it was close. And towards the end of the match, I thought it was pretty funny. But the Çaykur Rizespor fans, of course, haven't forgotten about that, well, let's face it, screw job 2 years ago, where Trabzonspor basically threw the game to Bursa after going up, but basically just gifted them 3 points, which caused Rizespor to go down, which was very undeserved, in my opinion. But towards the end of the game here, the Rizespor fans were chanting "Kümeye Bursa, Kümeye Bursa," which of course translates to that Bursa will relegate, basically. I thought it was funny, especially given the fact that they were beating their direct opponent as well during the process. So I think that kind of speaks a little bit to the integrity of the club, though. I mean, Rizespor could have thrown this match. It wouldn't have been any hair of their heads. They could have thrown it. Göztepe could have won, and that would have meant Bursa would have gone into the relegation zone with a 2-point deficit to Göztepe. But they didn't do this. They proved themselves to be better than Trabzonspor, in my opinion, in that when it comes to the moral high ground. And I think Trabzonspor should probably shy away from shady business like that, especially if they want to lay claim to that 2011 title. Because it's the definition. It's the definition of hypocrisy to hold others to a different standard than you hold yourself to. Anyway, very briefly on this match, we already discussed the Göztepe situation in the previous game, but Rizespor continued to impress, guys, despite that loss last week. But even, I said it last week, they impressed in that match despite the scoreline, and they continue to impress here. And this may still be the final chance for Galatasaray, because we're going to get to that later, but next week it's Basaksehir, Çaykur Rizespor. And if there's one team that's not in the top 4 that I could see pull off a victory against Basaksehir, it's Rizespor right now. So quickly going to get your thoughts. I'm going to start with you, Özer. Rizespor, do they pose a threat to Basaksehir next week? Do you believe in it, or are your hopes kind of gone at this point?
Interesting. That's an interesting point. In terms of form graphic, Rizespor are definitely up there in terms of one of the best performing clubs since January. Mm-hmm. So I kind of agree with your analysis there. It's just that there's always the kind of potential of Rizespor are Tayyip Erdogan's local club.
That's true. But they did prove here today that they have integrity. Club.
Yes, that's true. I hope they continue with that proof, to be honest. I always get slightly nervous when two teams who are aligned in some sort of political or kind of emotional way play each other. Yeah. But if it's purely down to football reasons, then why not? Riza are one of the teams that could do it.
And you, Umut, what do you think? Is Riza going to be the one that thwarts Basaksehir's title aspirations?
Well, they show some sparkle when they played against Besiktas, but the score margin went too high after the second half. They conceded 7. But this week they seem like a bit of a team, better than last week. I think they have a chance, but it will be a draw, I think.
That's still an interesting result. I
Yeah.
mean, a draw for Rize
Yeah.
would mean Galatasaray
Yeah,
with a win would come within 2 points, if I'm not mistaken, with a game in hand at
Yeah,
Turk
that's right.
Telecom Arena.
Yeah, that's what I hope so.
Okay, Burak, what do you think? Are these guys dreaming, or is there a chance?
I think Basaksehir will beat Rizespor comfortably.
Kapang, there goes all the dreams shattered.
Because if you look at if you look at Rizespor's last 6 games, the only 2 they've lost are to Fenerbahçe and Besiktas. You know, top.
But against Fenerbahçe
Besiktas
was
are
very
top team.
unfortunate for them. Wasn't that the match in which Skrtel basically... No, that was Konya. But they got a red card there, or an early red card. They still equalized with 10 men, and then they conceded a late goal. That was very unfortunate circumstances for Rizespor. And I think the Besiktas game as well, very exaggerated scoreline. They played well enough in that match. Besiktas just were too efficient, too good in front of goal. But, yeah.
You make they're fair points, but they're 2 big teams they've lost to, so I think that might be some kind of hoodoo, and so I think Basaksehir will win that comfortably, probably by a 2-goal scoreline, and again is that man Artur Sheju again scoring, bloody nuisance.
His 3rd goal for Turkish Rizespor now, and another game winner for him, and Rizespor, in contention for 5th place, which can still give them a European ticket, so that's very interesting. Let's move over to Konyaspor against Sivasspor. This one ended all square. Konyaspor really having a season with a lot of draws, and Sivasspor in the second half of the season haven't gotten a lot of wins themselves. Ömer Ali Şahiner opened the scoreline here in the 22nd minute on a brilliant counter-attack from Konyaspor, but only a couple of minutes later, Diabate equalized in the 39th minute, making it 1-1. No more goals in this match. Konyaspor Sivasspor, kind of a throwaway match at this stage of the season, so we'll not waste too much time on it. Do any of you have anything to add to this, or shall we move on to the main event on Saturday?
I just think Jahovic continues to impress and both make you pull your hair out. A great through ball that ended up with the Fofana and Ömer Ali classic FIFA cutback goal. A cutback goal which we always curse our friends about when they score against us like that on FIFA. And then he wastes a chance when it's 1-0 to Konya, and then he wastes another chance when it's 1-1. So that guy just blows hot and cold too much. If he can stay consistent, I think Konya would be in a higher league position right now. That's all I have to say.
His mind is still in Izmir in Göztepe. He left the club. Things could have been so different for him.
Yeah, I think Jahovic was always kind of that. I remember 2 years ago when he was having that hot run. My good friend Nadim, of course, you'll know him as Ankara Gücü, he's Kocha. He made the argument that Besiktas should go after him. I said to him at the time, look, this is a player with a ceiling, and that ceiling is the Anatolian mid-table type teams. And I think he's proving that. He's not a top-level striker. He's a good striker for a mid-table team, but nothing special. And I think he continues to prove that. I think he had a couple of hot months with Göztepe, but he's good, but not very good, or anything like that. I think not an exceptional player. But if that's anything left to add, let's move over to Besiktas Besiktas beating Basaksehir 2-1. Robinho had put Basaksehir ahead though in the 32nd minute, but Atiba Hutchinson equalized on a corner kick from who else than Adem Ljajic in the 42nd minute after Gökhan Gönül had first headed it, but a good save by Mert, but he couldn't stop the rebound from Atiba in the 42nd minute. A little bit of a perfectly timed equalizer really for Besiktas to get them back into the match. And then Burak Yilmaz with a phenomenal volley in the 52nd minute on a Jermaine Lens assist made it 2-1. It remained that way. Besiktas had several chances to increase the scoreline, but right at the end in the final seconds Basaksehir nearly equalized. But that wasn't to be for the league leaders. This is Basaksehir's first defeat in 2019, and Besiktas remain undefeated in the same year, in the same calendar year, 2019, and only themselves and Galatasaray are undefeated so far in 2019. Basaksehir first loss since December. I think their second or third defeat in this season. I have to double check on that. But despite the defeat, 20-30 minutes, very impressive in the first half. Besiktas came out of the gate firing on all cylinders, and for 15 or so minutes, they really choked out Basaksehir with high pressure and made it incredibly difficult for Basaksehir. They didn't know how to respond, but after that 15 minutes of high pressure, of high pressure, Basaksehir managed to take the match in their own hands, bossed Besiktas around for about 20 to 30 minutes until the goal, a little bit after the goal. After that, Besiktas got back into the game. In those final 5 minutes of the first half, they were pounding on the door already, the equalizer, of course. But then in the second half, you'd expect Basaksehir to come out and to just do what they did in that first half for those 20-30 minutes, but nothing was further from the truth. It took them until minute 82 to have their first attack, and that's definitely worthy of note, I'd say. Besiktas in that same time frame could have scored a couple more. Kagawa had a really nice little lob that almost went in, just went over. That would have been a brilliant strike. Burak Yilmaz had a good headed opportunity, but he headed it at Mert. Then there was Güven Yalçın, who had a great headed opportunity, but he headed it just wide. All in all, I think a deserved win for Besiktas, but still, despite the defeat, we can still see the quality in Basaksehir, and there were just moments in this match where I personally was thinking, God, these guys are impressive. When they were stringing those passes along, they just look like such a difficult team to beat, despite that defeat here. Umut, watching this game, your conclusions for the remainder of the season. Did we watch the 2018-2019 champions lose, or are they gonna give it away?
I hope they lost the year, I think. But they bossed the midfield during the first half, really. And Besiktas seemed to be losing. However, I think Karius held Besiktas in the game with the saves. Also, they wasted their attacks during the first half and couldn't manage to find any of those during the second half. And a striker kind of Burak Yilmaz is what takes the team at the top level. He scored a brilliant goal for the team, and a deserved win for Besiktas, I think.
Burak, what do you think?
I think it just goes to show that you don't celebrate with a stupid dance after you've scored like Robinho did, because it comes back to bite you in the arse.
I hate
but
it
like
when
you said,
players
I
do
like
that.
to. Yeah, I mean, to echo the sentiments of Umut, and I think Karius had a great game, pulled off some good saves. Even though Basaksehir had managed to get 6 shots on target, and Besiktas only managed 3, but obviously you can convert 2 of those. So what a great goal by Burak Yilmaz that was. A great volley, just right into the top far-hand corner. I'd implore anyone to go check that one out on beIN Sports, or just type Burak Yilmaz goal on Twitter. It should be one of the first videos that comes up. I think we are still watching the Turkish League champions, but I think Besiktas have just captured a really good run of form. I don't know what's happened to Şenol Güneş. Like you say, he's managed to finally, crack the Avcı code, as you said, Kaan, online on your Twitter feed, and they seem to be playing.
I think this was just some dumb luck here, if I'm honest.
Yeah, but Besiktas are playing some really good football, and like you said, the first 15 minutes, you just came out the blocks and were all over them like a rash completely. But then, this is all the quality of Basaksehir coming through. That man, Edin Visca, again, with the assist for Robinho's goal, just continues to put in good performances. But Besiktas, you were just too good for them on the day. But I think Basaksehir have got 2 home games coming up next. I think they'll grab 6 points out of those and shake off this little blip, shall we say.
And you, Özer, what do you think? Did we watch the future champions lose today on this day?
Well, with a very heavy heart, I have to say yes. I'm afraid. It's their 3rd loss of the season. The first one coming back in August, and like you said, December in between that.
Yeah,
but
second,
on balance, they still played some excellent football in the first half. In fact, the first goal was really lovely as well. The pass, the crossfield pass to Edin Visca, who then gave a brilliant assist, and then was nicely tucked in by Rubinho. I mean, I think they'll come back to win the next 2 games. I agree with Burak. I don't think they'll be able to beat Rize, like we said before. Having said that, Besiktas are really, really on fire right now. I think they're the most on-form team of 2019 alongside Galatasaray in terms of points. 27 points they picked up this calendar year.
Yeah. More than in the first half of the season.
That's right. And I think the acquisition of Burak Yilmaz is just a masterstroke for the club because he's just he's clinical, superb striker.
8 goals in 10 matches. That's phenomenal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a real lesson to Galatasaray of how to sign a striker.
For sure, the most informed striker in the league right now, has made a huge impact. But it's not just Burak; it's Ljajic, who's been fantastic since January. It's
Burak's finishing is just so lethal. You know, he's so much confidence every time he strikes the ball. He hits the ball so hard and so fast.
Yeah. This volley was a perfect example of that. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he has a ton of finesse. I mean, I don't know what's got into this guy. He went for years, but kind of
he's always scored his goals, but he's never been the perfect finisher. I've always criticized his finishing. I think he's always been that guy. He's always going to get his goals because he gets in so many scoring positions. But he tends to mess up a lot of chances. But that goal, like you said, is a perfect example of a striker that's just pouring with confidence. And it was a fantastic goal. Perhaps contender for goal of the season, and we saw last week's Adem Ljajic's goal, definitely a contender for goal of the season. Besiktas are scoring some great goals right now as well, not just getting the goals, but also in style. Let's move on to Sunday. I don't think there's too much left to be said on this match. Besiktas continue a good run of form. This is 4 wins in a row for them. It's the first time this season they've strung together a 4-match winning streak. That's also telling, I'd say. They're now we'll get to the standings later, but let's move over to Sunday. The first match on Sunday was Kayserispor against Ankaragücü. This one was a pretty equal game until late when Tyler Boyd opened the scoreline, put Ankaragücü 1-0 up, and then in the 6th minute of added time, İlhan Parlak scored in his hometown of Kayseri to make it 2-0 to Ankaragücü. So this match ended Kayserispor 0, Ankaragücü 2. Not too much to be added here. It was an interesting game with chances on both ends, but again, kind of a throwaway match. Both teams, Ankaragücü, Kayseri, they might still be able to get 5th, but it's gonna be tough, I think. And 5th place, of course, still interesting because if Galatasaray win the cup, 5th place could give rights to Europa League football qualifiers at least. But do either any of you have anything to add to this game?
Just that Tyler Boyd does his thing again.
Yep.
He's been superb for Ankaragücü, a real revelation for the league as well.
Yeah, I do have to add that at first when I saw the goal, I thought that was a lucky goal. But then when I watched the replay, it was very conscious of what he did, and it was a great goal. And just getting in there before the goalkeeper and managing to get that tap on the ball before any of the defenders, and it was perfect. Reminded me a lot of Murat Hacıoğlu back in the day. I remember him scoring a couple of those types of goals, but he continues to score goals. We didn't see any from Urgil, I don't think. But Tyler Boyd continues his run of form. I think that's 4 goals and 2 assists or something in 8 games for him. Any of you anything left to add to Ankaragücü's impressive run of form?
No, I mean just another Fenerbahçe old boy, İlhan Parlak, popping up on the score sheet. It's like they always seem to score when they leave us. And also, Kayseri hit the post with I think the Dennis Turic free kick just before Ankara scored. So if that got in, that could have maybe changed the look of the game.
There were also a couple of penalty shots for Kayserispor. There was one position where I was kind of like, Artem Kravets was kind of being held for a bit. And might have been a little harsh to give a penalty, but I don't know. It was flirting with it at least. But let's move over to the next one. That was Antalyaspor against Kasımpaşa. This one ended 1-0. And here the only goal of the match came in the 23rd minute through Mevlut Erdinç, the former Paris Saint-Germain striker, getting on the score sheet here. And Chico got sent off in the 43rd minute for a pretty nasty but maybe not intentional fall. It was a very high boot. Planted it into the guy's back, but he looked apologetic immediately after, like, oh my god, what did I do here? And it's like he realized he was going to get sent off. And of course, VAR called in the referee to take a look, and Chico got sent off there. No arguments, I think, can be made for that. But Kasımpaşa had a lot of chances. Antalyaspor had a lot of chances. This was a match that really could have ended 2-2, 3-3. There could have been a lot of goals, but we just got the one goal. Anything to add, guys?
Just that Boffin had a great game in goal for Antalya, and Serdar Özkan, had a chance to equalise at 1-0, but of course we know
to make it 2-0.
To make it 2-0. Sorry, but we know he's not the best finisher. Yeah. And I think, what was it? Kasımpaşa had a glorious chance at 1-0 down. I can't remember who it was, but it was that man.
had a couple. There were some caramboles in front of goal. Boffin was great, and the first he's been disappointing for me this season, because when he was at Eskişehir and like the first season or so at Antalya, I thought he was always one of the better goalkeepers in the league. But this season he's had a lot of stinkers. But this definitely harkened back to his glory days in the Turkish league, and he definitely put in a good performance here.
I think it broke down like it was the Kagawa's debut.
Yeah, that was probably pretty hard on him. But he didn't play a good game there. I mean, he was to blame for a couple of those goals for sure. Let's move over to the Malatyaspor-Alanyaspor match. This one ended all square, and everything happened here within the first 15 minutes, really. Crazy match. Adem Büyük gets on the score sheet in the 6th minute from a penalty spot after Abubakar Kamara had been brought down in the box, and VAR awarded, through VAR, the referee awarded a penalty, and only a couple of minutes after that, Abubakar Kamara goes around the goalkeeper, but fails to put it home, puts it wide, and then in the 12th minute, Junior Fernandes puts the equalizer on the score sheet in the 12th minute. We saw a red card for Ceyhun Gülselam after his first yellow card in the 24th minute, and then a second yellow in the 33rd minute that resulted in a penalty kick for Malatyaspor, an opportunity to put them ahead once again, but Adem Büyük this time could not convert from the spot, Haidar saving it. And then in the second half, it was, despite how exciting the first half was, especially that those opening 15 or so minutes, the second half had almost nothing in store. Only a red card for Erkan Kaş after he made a fall, and then I think he yelled something at the linesman or something, and he got sent off in the 81st minute, so Alanyaspor down to 10 as well. Alanyaspor, I'm confused now. No, it's Malatyaspor down to 10 men, sorry. So Ceyhun for Alanyaspor had been sent off in the 33rd minute, and then Erkan in the 84th for Malatya. So the match ended in 10v10, but Alanyaspor playing with 10 men for almost an hour, or including extra time at least an hour, and Malatya only for about 10 minutes or so. So Alanyaspor hold on, so to speak, although they had a couple more opportunities. But Sergen Yalçın having the train back on track for Alanyaspor. They're comfortably in the belly of the standings, and they won't have to worry about relegation. Malatyaspor, a little bit disappointing still, given the fact where they were at half-time, so to speak, in the Turkish Super League. After 17 match days, they were in contention for Europe, but they still are if Galatasaray wins the cup, because they're in 5th right now. But they've been disappointing in the second half of the season, guys. And again, I'm going to breeze past it. Anything to add? Because we want to get to the next one, of course, where we're going to spend the bulk of this podcast talking about. So if any of you have any remarks to add to this match, please do so.
Just it was a tough game. I mean, I think each team had about 15 fouls each. So I don't know why. It's Malacia and Alanya.
Yeah, lots of yellow cards.
There doesn't seem to be any big... Yeah, so anyway, we'll let them have their fun. And it means Ceyhun is out for the game next week against Fenerbahçe. So,
hooray!
Not a huge loss, sir.
Exactly. So
he's a pretty solid player for a team like that, I think. Anyway, let's move over to the Fenerbahçe Galatasaray derby, the main event of the weekend. And given the events on Saturday, this match had major title implications and perhaps could be, I don't even think there's any question about it, this was the match of the season for Galatasaray. This was the must-win match, the first time since 1999, but they were going to do it. They were going to win away at Fenerbahçe and become the new champions, because they would, with a win, they would come within 3 points of leader Basaksehir with a game in hand at the Türk Telekom complex, but it wasn't to be. Onyekuru gets the scoring started in the 66th minute against a 10-man Fenerbahçe. They had been down to 10 since half-time. Hasan Ali Kaldırım had gotten a red card for a last-man fall on Mbaye Diagne. We'll get to that later. But yeah, at that point, you think Galatasaray pushing, dominating, having the ball, pushing for that goal, finally get that breakthrough in the 66th minute. It's done. Galatasaray got their first historical win in the Kırşehir Stadium since 1999 in 20 years, but it wasn't to be because Elif Elmas pulled it level just 5 minutes later on Nabil Dirar assist in the 71st minute. There was definitely some contention there, a VAR check. There was definitely a scent of a foul in the build-up, but the referee Ali Palabıyık allowed the goal. And it stood 1-1. Galatasaray could not find a late winner despite heaps of pressure, but no real opportunities that I can recall, at least. Sofyan Figuli, by the way, getting the assist on the Onyekuru game. I thought Figuli had a good match and continues to take responsibility and take a leadership role in the team. Definitely the second half of the season, I think he's been stellar, one of the more informed players in the league. But it ends all square. Galatasaray have now officially not won for 20 straight years at Sukuşaraşoğlu. They, of course, did win the league there in 2012 with a draw, but it's been 20 years. And I know I'm laying that on thick, but Fenerbahçe, red card, 45th minute for Hasan Ali Kaldırım, last man fall. Initially, Ali Palabıyık gave a yellow card, and I was really upset about that, because if you give a card, if you deem it to be a foul, it has to be red. You cannot give a yellow card for a last man position, and I hate it when referees do that. And I'm so happy that VAR is here now, because VAR can prevent that. Although we've seen it happen in the past, though. Still, I think Luyendama in the cup against Hatay got a yellow card as well, instead of a red for a last man fall. Or did he not get a card? And wasn't it even there wasn't a foul called, I think, actually. I'm not sure. But I hate it when referees do that, give a yellow instead of a red on a last man, because it's just, throwing the rule book out the window. So if you think it's a foul as a referee, you have to give it a red card. There's no debating. So VAR intervened, pulled Palabıyık to the sideline, and he awarded the red card then and there. But really, in the footage that they showed on VAR, you couldn't tell if there was actually any contact, so I don't really understand how he changed his mind by looking at it from that angle. He should have asked to watch different angles, but he didn't. But 60 minutes or more with 10 men for Fenerbahçe, but they still managed to scrape by a point. Now I'm gonna throw to Umut first. Umut, please let me know what your thoughts are on this match. Did Galatasaray get robbed by the referee? Because that's a sentiment that's definitely definitely present among the Galatasaray fandom right now.
Well, initially, all we had to talk is that I think Belhanda getting suspended very early on in the game. So Fatih Terim didn't take the risk to put him for the next half of the game. So he just played with Emre Akbaba for the rest of the game. So he didn't make any impact at all. So I think it was just hard to play against a compact team who is defending in their home ground, and also fans cheering for them. Also the psychological things about the 20 years fact, not even having a point or a win in the Şükrü Saracoğlu Stadium. So it was hard for Galatasaray, even just scoring the goal and not even remain the lead after the goal and conceded just after that. It was hard for the Galatasaray, I think.
And same question to you, Özer. Do you think Galatasaray got robbed by the referee, or do they have themselves to blame?
Well, I think it's a combination of two. I know that's an easy get out for the answer, but the referee definitely made an impact, and a negative impact. And Galatasaray are right to complain, but when you kind of zoom out and take a look at the macro view of things, 20 years you can't win a match in your rival stadium. I think there's a huge amount of psychological pressure whenever Galatasaray play. I mean, look at it on paper. This is the best opportunity we've had in a very long time to turn that around. Fenerbahçe are having the worst season in their recent history. Galatasaray are second in the league. Fenerbahçe go down to 10 men relatively early on. Gives the upper hand to Cimbom, but still you can't capitalize on that. It takes until the 65th minute to go ahead, and then just 5 minutes later you concede, and then the joys of or the fantasy of finally winning in Fenerbahçe it evades after 5 minutes, and suddenly you're going back to, oh no, it's happening again. So the psychological impact needs to be appreciated here, alongside the referee's mistakes. But also, when talking of mistakes, Terim also had a few mistakes, I think, in this game in terms of his tactical approach to the game, in terms of his substitutions in the game, which were late and probably debatable. I mean, bringing on Sinan Gümüş, who hasn't really delivered at all in more than the season, was in my view, a mistake. Taking off Belhanda was correct, but maybe he should have brought somebody else on, perhaps Selçuk even. And I'm amazed that it's me saying this as such an outspoken critic of Selçuk over the last couple of seasons, but definitely think Selçuk would have made some impact in this game, certainly more than Belhanda did. So I think in terms of the blame game, referee, sure, attack the referee for all the right reasons, but we have to take some of the blame on our own shoulders as well.
So when we're moving here over to the derby debate, first we're going to bring in a special guest to even the odds a little bit. Unfortunately, Arman couldn't be in here for the entire recording of the conversation, but we've already heard the points of our Galatasaray fans, but we'll give it in a second again. We'll recap in a second. But we're bringing on Arman Polat here, live from the United States of America. Arman, welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us and evening things out and giving Burak a fighting partner in this furious debate that's going to take place, no doubt.
Yeah, I had to be here for backup, so I had to speed on home after work. So just to get Burak some help. But thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on, and of course we just heard Umut and Özer's points already. A bit of a difficult situation where, yes, the referee didn't have a great game, but Galatasaray also have to look at themselves a little bit for their inability to pull off the victory here. So I'm gonna throw to you first, Burak, to get so Arman can get a little bit in the flow. What did you think? Was this a right result, or did Galatasaray kind of get robbed here? Or do you perhaps have a differing opinion? Do you think the red card for Hasan Ali wasn't correct? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter.
Well, let me just start by saying 20 years. Better luck next season, gentlemen. Let's see how it goes. I do agree with Aussie, where he says there's a little bit of mental pressure on the Galatasaray team. I mean, you always hear stories from players around this time of the year, from ex-Galatasaray players. I was watching one online on Twitter earlier from Volkan Arslan. You might remember him, the bald guy with a little bit of the goatee beard.
With the pig face, yes.
Saying, if you want to say that, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say he's a very handsome man. But he was saying it was a day before the derby at Kadıköy, and Galatasaray players were in the camp, and the coaching staff brought in Ata Demirer, a famous Turkish comedian, to kind of relax the players and put them in a better state of mind. And then Volkan Arslan goes on to say, then we let them 4 goals. So they'll say maybe Ata Demirer relaxed them too much. But looking at the game, I think we stole the draw. We were so bad. I was so upset with how the team performed, just because there didn't seem to be any fire in the team. So I wanted someone like a Sadık in there, maybe to actually show that someone cares about the game. Watching our midfield was just frustrating. Tolgay was just a passenger. He was lackadaisical, very laissez-faire, as the French would say.
Told you.
Kept giving the ball away. Exactly. So, I wish we just sent him off to have his Döner Dürüm and played someone else in there like Giles. But we invite the pressure on from Galatasaray so much. So Galatasaray were defending very high up the pitch, and we were sitting far too deep for my liking. And I can't recall any passage of play when we put together a good spell of possession football with some passes. I mean, if I'm looking at players, I think Elif had a decent game, playing in his preferred attacking midfield position, but still he didn't, impress as much as I would have liked him to. But of course, he did score the goal. Fact, Elif Elmas was 2 months old the last time Galatasaray beat Fenerbahçe at Kadıköy, which was December 1999. But like I say, the Hassan Ali red card, if we're going by the letter of the law, and we've said before in a podcast, I'm a man of the law. IFAB rules state that. Indeed, what we're dealing with here is a serious lack of respect for the law. Rest in peace, Keith Flint from the Prodigy. But we saw I'm looking at the foul. I'm looking at the replay, and Hassan Ali, it looks like he's giving Jagner a little, very effeminate handshake, and
that's a good one.
Donkey Jag.
Keep going.
It is. He doesn't yank him. There's no kick on the foot. He's like a very effeminate. Thanks for coming to my party. See you later, Jagner. And then Donkey Jagner, or Dingil Jagner, however you want to name him, he trips over his feet, like he's got 2 left feet, like a bad ballroom dancer.
Giovanni Elber style. Yeah? Did you guys remember that one? 2001 Champions League final, Bayern München against Valencia.
Yeah.
He hooks himself, he falls over his own feet, and he gets a penalty, and Bayern win the Champions League from that penalty.
And it's just so for me, red card, yes, but so soft. But like I say, letter of the law, red card. But like I say, Jagner once again proving to be just a massive waste of money. He's only scored penalties, I think. Maybe he scored one-headed goal.
He scored penalties and 2 goals from open play.
Into an empty net.
One of those goals from open play was a deflection from Emre Akbaba's header. That should be noted.
But like I say, I was disappointed in our performance. I don't know what Arsenal was doing. I mean, Alpar Portugal. I understand the thinking, because Alpar's got some legs and he can run, but what has he done to his hair? Oh my god! When I saw him come,
he misses the winner at the end.
Yes, because he's shit. That's what. That's why.
I always liked Alpar. I still do. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still in denial. I still think he can be rehabilitated, but I don't know.
I think he just needs a hug.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
A hug and a number 0 clippers to shave off that monstrosity on his hair. But I was disappointed with the tactics. I was disappointed with the way Arsenal set out. We just looked like we were sitting too deep, and I couldn't see any fire in that team. I wanted someone like a Sadek on there to give a crap about the fact that we were playing a derby. Maybe I saw some fire from Soldado at some times, and I saw some fire from Mehmet Topal when he kicked Linus in the chest. So
that was an absolute scandal.
Scandal. So that's my thoughts. And again, thank you, Arman, for joining to back me up. Just followed you on Twitter, by the way, as well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you sort of agree with me, disagree with me, and what disappointed you about our performance, and what you were impressed with, and what got you fired up a little bit on Sunday.
I'll do my best, but I'll try to keep this I'll summarize as best as I can. I did agree with you that our Arsenal's game plan was not impressive whatsoever. As for the whole Hassan Ali situation, I still don't know, because I looked at the replay and I'm like, there's not enough for me to even call a foul, really. I feel like it's very minimal contact. Plus, I don't know if Jagna doesn't end up tripping on his own leg, is he even going to fall down, giving a reason for the ref to call a foul? So it's more like, I don't know. Like, I still haven't made up my mind on that. If there is a player who should have been sent off, it's Mehmet Topal. 100%. That one I'll argue till the end of time with, because he's made a lot of very sketch tackles after his yellow card, basically asking to be sent off. And luckily he didn't get sent off, and we would have been down to 9 men if that were the case. Even before the yellow card, the red card from Hassan Ali, we weren't even playing that well. Personally, I was expecting Zayt to start over Elif, especially since Ekiji wasn't even starting. Wasn't even playing due to suspension last week. There was very little going on. So there wasn't really any sense of urgency, and never really any belief that we were going to win the game. The sense of urgency came in after Galatasaray scored their goal. But after that goal came in, again, it was back to just defend for your life and don't concede a second goal. The substitutions were horrible, if I'm going to be totally honest, aside from Jalson, because as much, God knows how much, I'm a fan of Tall Guy, but I feel like he's played way too much than he should have, because given the fact that he hasn't been playing for months prior to joining us, I don't think he should be playing as much playing time as he gotten already, because you already have players on the bench who have been playing, such as Jalson, who I think should be starting. He should be starting weekly, but the fact that he's not is kind of mind-boggling to me. I was expecting Valbuena to come off the bench, but I guess Arsenal wanted Dira to play a right back, which caused Isla to play off the bench. I understand some points of the referee. There's a lot of bad calls made, but it is in the end, it is Turkey, so you're not gonna see consistent refereeing week by week, and it's just another argument of, is VAR useful for Turkey or not? Because you have some weeks where it's used great, and some weeks where it's used and not even, and the correct call is not even made at the end of the review, or they don't even go to VAR at times where they should go to VAR. Overall, it was a very lackluster derby, especially for Galatasaray, because here's the thing that I was shocked on my part for their performance. Number one, day before, you just saw Basaksehir lose to Besiktas. So that should give you the indication, okay, guys, we have all this momentum going into the game. The team that we're trying to chase for a championship just dropped points, and we have all the momentum in the world right now to go to Kadıköy and get a win here. And not even whether it was while we had 11 men or after the red card, aside from the goal, I can't think of one possession Galatasaray had where it was a 100% clear-cut chance to score. The only thing I can think of is the shot that I think Linus had the shot and it went off Jalson and hit the post. That's all I can think of right now. So, as disappointed as I am for Fenerbahçe's performance, if I was a Galatasaray fan, I would be even more disappointed. The fact that, there were some calls that should have probably gone your way that didn't. But the fact that you had at least 60 minutes or more playing with a one-man advantage, and you were unable to constantly come up with, like, create some chances for yourself to score, especially when you have Fatih Terim as your coach, who's, like, quote-unquote the best motivator in Turkey for coaching-wise. It was kind of surprising that they weren't able to pull it off, and it kind of gave me the indication after the game. I'm pretty certain that Fenerbahçe, the next time Galatasaray comes to Kadıköy, Fenerbahçe can make a starting 11 filled with toddlers, and Galatasaray still wouldn't be able to get a win. I feel like it's come to that point at this time, because there have been so many instances where people are like, you know what, this is the year. And personally, all I heard prior to this game was, this is the year because this is Fenerbahçe's worst season. So there's no better time for Galatasaray to get a win than now, which I totally disagree with. Personally, I thought the year that Galatasaray had the best chance was the week after. No. The week after Fenerbahçe got eliminated from the Europa League against Benfica, because after we've lost literally every game after that, and the only game we won was against Galatasaray. And because I think we lost the game against Gençlerbirliği the week after, and then we lost the remaining of our games. We just beat Galatasaray, and that was it. And the team was so mentally demoralized. We're like, I don't even think they wanted to play anymore after getting eliminated. So I was like, Galatasaray they're already champions. They have Drogba, they have Schneider, all these Burak, they have all these players, which they've had better squads than what they have this year, and still those teams were not able to come in and just, get a win at all. So it's like, I don't know. It's obviously, when it's this long, it's more a mental factor, which I don't know what else. I feel like they've tried almost everything in the book. And you've heard previous players. I think you heard Schneider earlier in the week saying, like, we thought this was the year, and next thing you know, like, we can't even do anything when we get there. Like, it's a whole different atmosphere. And for, like, the Fenerbahçe players, they just, they see it as like a holiday. They're like, okay, we get to play Galatasaray. They're more motivated for the derbies than anything else, even like at their worst point of the season. And like that's what I think is the main factor with Fenerbahçe. That's the only like silver lining I can like get out of this is, no matter how much they're losing in a derby, they always find a way to get themselves back in the game. Like, no matter how bad the season is going, you've seen it time and time.
Yeah, it's true. Every single derby this season,
they've never led one.
All four of them, they went down and they got back into the game. The first one against Besiktas went 1-0 down in the second half, got a relatively late equalizer through Ayew. Then the Galatasaray derby in Turk Telekom, 2-0 down after, 60 or so minutes, and still get a draw there, 2-2. Then, of course, the 3-3, not too long ago against Besiktas, 3-0 down at halftime, still get a 3-3. And now this, I mean, if anything, Fenerbahçe's victories this season have all come in the form of a draw, oddly enough. But they have shown that mental resilience in these derbies, even in this match where they didn't play a good game. I think against Besiktas they didn't play a good game either. In the first half they were dreadful, but then in the second half they picked it up and Besiktas completely collapsed. But and kind of the same thing really against Galatasaray and Turk Telekom and against Besiktas at Saracoğlu. Like, all four of those derbies, I thought Fenerbahçe were quite poor, but they still got the result, at least a draw. And it just goes to show you, maybe they're a little bit lucky, but it's also a mental aspect for sure, no doubt there. And you can even see it seep through to Fatih Terim, because after the match, I believe he was even in tears. And I think that kind of speaks to how much of a mental obstacle. I think this match is so much more. It's almost impossible. I can't remember the last time I've seen a good Fenerbahçe Galatasaray derby. It's always a gritty match where not a lot of chances, most of it gets fought out in midfield, and there's not a lot of clear-cut opportunities. It doesn't happen too often, and usually the matches in terms of match quality are quite disappointing, and we saw it again here, I think. But Özer, what do you think of the mental aspect? Is this becoming a massive issue for Galatasaray? This Kadıköy obsession or
well. Look, it's just one game in the season. So I've always been of the opinion that I don't care if we lose in Kadıköy 10-0 for all eternity. As long as we're still good enough to put a fight and win the league, I don't really care about this one-off fixture. It's just that it is interesting how this has gone on for 20 years. I mean, 20 years is a huge amount of time. Turkey was a very different place in 1999. A lot of people weren't even born. A lot of football fans weren't even born last time Galatasaray won a game like this. Since then, Cimbom have won a UEFA Cup, have won a UEFA Super Cup, have won the league, the cup, the Super Cup in Turkey countless times, reached 2 Champions League quarterfinals. All this stuff has happened, but yet we just can't break this curse in Kadıköy. For me, it's not the end of the world that we can't do it. I just think it's annoying and interesting and irritating, but it's not the kind of thing that is going to give me sleepless nights. If I'm totally honest, I wonder, would you agree with that, Umut?
Yeah, I think the similar like Özer. But yeah, it's better to win the league rather than just winning one game, because it's just 3 points. What gives you. And also Fatih Terim mentioned it after the game. It's all about the psychological aspects. Yeah, as Özer said, 20 years is a very long time. But we have to achieve something from it and like learn how to win in Kadıköy. But I believe there's some kind of a curse when we play there, because the ball doesn't just go in. Like as you see, we hit the post both times in these 3 years in a row, I think. And also, I remember like 6 years ago, Barosh hit the post just at the last second of the game.
Unbelievable.
And also, ball bounced just in front of the Fenerbahçe players, not even one Galatasaray player. So it's very hard to achieve some win from Kadıköy. But I think Galatasaray should work harder. And also the choices made during the game from Fatih Terim was what made the game resulted that way. Sinan and Kostas Mitroğlu choice was like dreadful. I don't know what he was thinking about the
Wasn't
changes.
that maybe his? I mean, didn't he kind of have to put Mitroğlu in at that point, because Diagne was kind of on an island anyway already, and it's late in the match. You have to try to pump that ball into the box and hope one of them gets to the end of it.
Yes, but in those moments of the game, I don't think more forwards mean more goals, because unless you create any chances, it doesn't mean any thing at all. Because after Mitroğlu came in, I didn't think I saw a cross inside the box.
There
Just
was
I
one
think
shot
Sinan's
from a
position.
tight angle from Sinan, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it, I think. Yeah.
He wasted the chance with his wicker foot. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't even think he knew what he was doing there.
Yeah, but do you
just he went
remember?
to be a hero.
Yeah, do you remember last season that he scored a similar to that goal where he hit it with the weaker foot but hit it right? It was one of the final matches where it was really important. I don't remember exactly which game it was, but he got a very late winner. I want to say Antalya or something last season.
Alanya.
Alanya? Alanya, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where he hit it with, I think it was with his weaker foot as well there. And yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but Fenerbahçe game was a tighter angle in any ways,
but you
and
have
also
to
a
try,
harder
right?
situation. Also, there are like 3 or 4 players inside the box, and Harun was off his line, so it was a poor choice.
Let's talk about Harun, because did he have to make a single save, like an actual proper save? Like
No, he could have taken a nap, and I think the same result would have happened. He didn't make any save that I know of.
I think that's a problem, though. For 60 minutes against 10 men, you should test the goalkeeper at least a couple times, right? And let's talk about the referee in a bit, but that in its own is perhaps a big part of a failure. Of course, if Mehmet Topal gets sent off, you're up against 9 men, and then you'll get more space. Chances are more likely to come, but regardless, you're already up against 10 men. Of course, I'm not saying that Topal should not have been sent off or anything like that, but it's still not to test the goalkeeper once. It does show that Galatasaray, despite all the motivation in the world they should have had for this match, given what happened the day before, it just didn't come out really. And you could see, I think, when Onyekuru scored, that was looked like such a load off of all of those players, off of the guys on the bench, everyone, and then to still give it away. It's very.
Can I make one comment regarding Onyekuru's goal?
Of course,
that goal happened right after Skirtle was sent off to get treatment. So we had 9 players on the field when that happened.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, the fact that it took 9 players for Galatasaray to come up with a clear-cut chance to score a goal says a lot. And then once we equalized, then the last 5 minutes, I'm like, I don't think they're gonna find a way to win the game. So, and for us, it's like we just have to catch them making a mistake on one chance and hopefully convert, which did happen. Well, not really a mistake, but Soldado had a great layout for Alper, and we all know how bad Alper is. And I don't know why he came in the game. I would have put in Ayev personally, but
for sure,
or Zajic, anyone else. But I wouldn't even put Volkan in the game. Let him take a shot. I really don't care as long as it's not Alper at this point. But that was another thing I just wanted to bring up about Onyekuru's goal. Like, that happened when Skirtle was off the field. Yeah. So the fact that you got your goal. Now
it's a good point to make, because it's an important block in that defense. Someone in the center, in the heart of that defense. It's a headed goal at the far post. But the organization is shooken up a little bit for a second there. So really, it does even make it worse in a way. But let's talk about the refereeing for a bit, because I think you all know how much I despise Mr. Ali Palabıyık. And I can't help but feel that he was, don't want to. I don't want to insult the Fenerbahçe fans, but I think he did everything he could to not sabotage them, so to speak. I mean, he didn't want to give the red card. He gave a yellow in that position. I mean, I agree fully with Arman whether I don't know if it was a foul, because I couldn't tell from what I saw. And I really don't understand how that can be reverted, that decision, after the footage that he watched. And as far as I know, the footage that we get to see is the footage that the referee is watching at that point. So I don't understand how he could have seen it. But if he gives a foul and he gives a card, which he has to do because it's last man, it has to be red. It cannot be a yellow card. So he already did everything there. No, I'm gonna give a yellow here. Well, then don't give the fall. That's just dumb. And then I mean, the Topal situation. How can you not send him off? That's ridiculous. You can't understand that. And then there is the lead up to the Fenerbahçe goal. Again, I'm not 100% sure there. Is it a fall or not? To me, it kind of looked like it, but I didn't get to look at the position multiple times. I just saw it the once or twice that they replayed it, and my first inclination was that's a fall. But I didn't watch it back multiple times, so I really can't say for sure. But I don't know. I felt Palabıyık was very, like it was in a situation there. I'm not going to disallow this goal because, that's kind of what it felt like. And, of course, Besiktas have had 2 good games with Mr. Palabıyık in charge against Fenerbahçe, where he claimed an important role in the match. And I just felt from the first minute, and he was giving yellow cards to both sides. It has to be pointed out. But every time I watch this guy, and it was this match from the beginning on, it's like he craves the spotlight. He loves to stop the game at every opportunity he gets because he knows the camera is gonna be on him, and he just gets hard. I don't know. I'm sure if you zoom in on his crotch, he's got a boner. It's when he's talking to the player. No, I swear to God. No, but this is a real thing. There's referees that live for that love the attention, that love the spotlight and crave the spotlight. I think Ali Palabıyık is a perfect example of that kind of scumbag referee, and he was terrible. To me, he's the worst ref in the league because he just he horns on it. I swear. I don't know. Burak, your thoughts on the referee's performance? Did he favor one side or another, or was he just bad all around? What's your opinion?
I just think he was bad all around. I think Belhanda should have got a second yellow card for his tackle on Serdar Aziz. The Mehmet Topal challenge, there's only 4 times when the referee should go to VAR. That is goal, no goal, penalty, no penalty, direct red card, mistaken identity. Goal, no goal. He didn't even go to VAR on that one. So, VAR can only suggest that the referee reviews it, and he just was like, nope, I'm not going to review it. I don't think he reviewed the goal, did he? He just had a chat with the guy over the headset and gave it. Wasn't even, if thinking about it, Mehmet Topal, maybe could have been sent off. But if you're going to send him off, then you've got to send Belhanda off as well for his tackle on Serdar Aziz. I just think he had a bad game. I don't know if he buckled under pressure, but like you say, he's a bit of a scumbag referee. He likes to be the centre of attention, like Cüneyt Çakır and Fırat Aydınus and all these
I don't know about
players.
I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm generally, I wasn't too happy with his officiating of the Basaksehir Besiktas match, but in general, I kind of like Cüneyt. I don't think he's someone who pulls the spotlight to him all the time.
But Galatasaray fans have a good reason to feel hard done by, and Fenerbahçe fans can look around and say, well, what about the Belhanda incident? What about all the other incidents that have happened? And these things even themselves out over the course of a season, my friends. So you just need to kick back, crack open a bottle of Uludağ Gazos, maybe open some Doritos Pancho, and just crunch away, and just think to next year.
Shut up, you bastard! I'm on a keto diet. I can't eat that stuff. But Özer, what do you think? Was the ref purposely sabotaging one side? Was he just really bad overall? What's your thoughts on things?
I think he was generally horrific overall, but the bit that really offended me wasn't even Topal's attempted murder on Martin Lines. It wasn't even the delayed red card for Hassan Ali. It was the foul on Feghouli that was missed. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but he did actually check VAR after that incident, but still gave the goal.
He did check VAR.
So,
yeah.
Did he
He
check?
listened,
I
listened, but didn't go to
he
the...
listened, yeah. He didn't go to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so whatever was said to him, whatever was whispered into his ear, obviously wasn't enough to convince him to even double check, but I can't imagine what they would have said to have not even sparked a little bit of intrigue in his mind to have gone to check that. I mean, it's a critical moment in the game that led to the equalising goal. It couldn't be more critical than that. So for him to make the time to listen to his advisors down in the VAR office and not check, for me, is just totally abhorrent.
We'll get to that fall in a minute. Arman, what's your opinion on the referee overall? Did he sabotage one team? Probably Galatasaray in that case, or was he just bad overall?
I thought he was just bad overall. As for the foul on Feghouli before a goal, I think because he sent off Hassan Ali, he gave the goal
compensation.
So, I think he played. I won't make it out of here alive if I disallow this goal. I think if the game was still 0-0 and we had scored that goal, he would have called it off. He wouldn't have. He would have canceled that goal. I think it was more of I already sent off Hassan Ali, which was already debatable enough. And if I cancel that goal, I'm gonna hear it, and I don't think he wants that. And it's pretty common for referees to have makeup calls. I mean, we see it all the time. So whether it's justified or not. But I think that red card played a factor into allowing our goal. Because the ones I saw, I'm like, I can see a foul. Yeah, it's like I saw the foul, but I'm not surprised he gave the goal because I honestly at this point you can't really expect anything new. Like it's actually you can always find something new with these referees, but it's more of like you're just hoping that okay, by letter of law this is a foul, so he's obviously gonna call it. Nope, he gives the goal. Like they just make decisions that kind of make you second guess if you really know the rule book or not, or if they change the rule book for that specific play, and then they change it back after the rule, call it.
Yeah. Umut, your thoughts on the ref? I don't think I've asked you yet, right?
Yeah, I think in addition to what Özer said, was just before Feguli is brought down, there's an incident involving Onyekuru and Şkırtıl. Onyekuru was brought down by Şkırtıl, but when he was on the ground, Şkırtıl went on him and I think shouted at him, and
he told him to stop being a little bitch.
Was also brought down by Onyekuru, who was just rolling on the ground, but after that incident, Onyekuru got booked. But after the incident, we see on the screen that Şkırtıl planted his foot on Onyekuru's feet, which should be a foul in Galatasaray's favor. And also a position in conflicting the referee's decision is when Belhanda was booked just early on in the game, falling to Valbuena, just on the opponent's end of the pitch. A yellow shouldn't be a case in my thinking, but if that's a yellow, it should be the same when Valbuena handled the ball in the middle of the pitch, denying a Galatasaray counter-attack. But
that's a yellow, yes.
But it wasn't given. I think that was on purpose on referee's side, and I have to mention during the game.
Okay, now we've talked about the referee in general, a little bit about the match, but now let's talk about the key points in this match. There's two crucial points involving the red card for Hasan Ali Kaldırım, and of course leading up to the Fenerbahçe goal. Now I'm gonna throw to Özer first. Özer, the Hasan Ali Kaldırım diagonal position. Now I'm not gonna ask you red or yellow because it's a red card if it's a foul, but was it a foul? If that would happen like 20 meters in front, without it being a last man position, is that a foul in your opinion?
Yes, because there's just enough contact there to put the player off balance, and Cagney falls in such a theatrical way, I'll admit that, but in such a way that confirms the referee's decision that there's been contact. It does from some angles look as though he tripped over his own feet, and given the type of player that Cagney is, I think that was pretty likely a lot of people's first thought as well. But I think it's just enough contact there.
Yeah. Oh, Arman, what do you think? I know you've said already earlier that you're still not sure, but what's your thought at this time? Do you think there was contact, and if so, was it enough for Diagne to stumble?
It's enough contact where they'll call a foul outside the penalty box, but if it's in the penalty box, they will not call it. But the fact that I see Diagne's feet tangled up, which was the reason he fell, makes me cause to pause, and I feel like if that did not happen, he wouldn't be on the ground, and who knows what would happen on that play, whether he would score, probably not, or who knows. But the fact that I didn't notice him tripping over his legs until later on in the game. At first, I'm like, there's minimal contact, and I see legs get tangled up. So for me, I'd lead towards no, but I'd probably have to watch another 50 times.
Burak, same question.
Well, let's look at the facts, right? Mohamed Cagney is 1 meter 93 centimeters tall, right? He probably weighs about 90 kilos, solid muscle. And you've got Hasan Ali Kaldırım, probably a good maybe 10, 15 centimeters shorter, probably weighs 75 kilos, soaking wet. Are you telling me that Hasan Ali, with his effeminate handshake touch on Cagney's hand, is going to pull him down when Cagney's running full force towards the goal? Have a day off. Get in the bin. Not a foul. Cagney's just he's just a donkey. He's tripped over his own 2 feet. He's an absolute garbage centre forward for the last, since he's been at Galatasaray. He's just failed to perform. He's just been woeful and he's tripped up over his own feet. There's no way Hassan Ali is pulling him down. With the strength that Jagner has and his sheer size and power.
But did he
Anywhere
put
else
him
on the
down
pitch,
or did he put him out of balance? Because, I mean, you can be as big as strong as you want. If you're running at full speed and somebody gives you a light tap, that can be enough for you to trip.
a light tap on the hand, never. No, there's no other contact.
I don't know. Was it on the hand? I don't know.
It was on the hand.
Okay.
There's no contact on his forearm or
it
his
was like
shin.
the shoulder or something. Like I said, I didn't see it. I really couldn't tell from what I saw, and I didn't think they gave proper replays that could really tell them. So, if he ticks him on the hand, then it seems indeed very weird. I mean, the only way he can get out of balance really if he gets actually a little bit. It can be a slide push, but if he gets like a slide push on his back, on his shoulder, something like that, but his hand is not gonna bring him out of balance. So, then I'm kind of inclined to agree with you, Umut. Rebuttal time. What was it? Fall or no fall?
I think there's a brush of a contact to Jagner, and which led him to lose his balance.
But was the
I think
contact
it's
on
a
his hand?
foul.
Because then it seems a little weird that he would lose.
I
his
think
balance.
it's I don't think it's in the hand, but like above the knee kind of challenge, which made his feet like a stumbled and led him to the falling situation. Also, I didn't see Hassan Ali being like objecting to the referee after the decision.
Yeah, but that
So,
should not.
I think
shouldn't-
it's-
Yeah, I noticed.
I
that
mean,
too.
He
VAR,
looks guilty.
the VAR
Yeah.
decision is going to be final, so he doesn't matter how much he protests. I think that's the most. I mean, we see it, of course, where people are protesting VAR decisions still, but that's the most pointless thing you can protest at this point because it's never going to get overturned. I don't know.
I think when Hassan saw him go to VAR, then he knew he was going to get sent off.
I think it's a foul in my point of view.
Okay.
Hassan Ali should be bouncing off Jagner. Come on.
Let's move over to the next position, and I'm gonna start with Arman this time. Arman, in the build-up for the Fenerbahçe goal, is there a foul on Sofyan Feghouli?
Yes,
Okay, sweet and short.
that's it.
Umut, what do you think? Foul on Sofyan Feghouli?
Yeah, definitely.
Burak?
Yeah, it's a foul, but fuck it.
And then Özer, of course. What do you think? Foul or no foul?
Yeah, no debate.
Okay,
No
so
debate,
we've
absolute
got
foul.
a little
Net.
bit. Yeah, so I think we can say a unanimous agreement there. There's a foul in the build-up for the Fenerbahçe goal. The Hassan Ali Calderum red card. I'm kind of torn on it as well. I'm not saying definitively no, but I'm definitely not saying definitively yes either. I need to watch more replays, and my big contestation here is I don't understand how the referee can, from the footage he saw, for as briefly as he saw it, I don't know how he can definitively say it's a red card either. So leaves a little bit of a puzzling notion to me. But anyway, that's as much as we're going to talk about that. Let's talk about one more thing, and that's Galatasaray's title aspirations. Are their title dreams over now? Was this their last chance, or are they going to get another attempt at this? Özer, gonna throw to you first. Title dreams over or still alive?
Well, I don't want to contradict what I said earlier when you asked me about Basaksehir. I still think Basaksehir are going to win the league, but it's going to go right down to the wire. 5 points difference now. We're still going to play Basaksehir. I think Gala will beat Basaksehir here. I think the most crucial thing for this weekend was always the other match. In fact, it was Basaksehir and Besiktas game, which was more important because I think a lot of fans, I mean, including myself here, didn't expect to go and beat Fener and Kadıköy. I almost took this thinking a draw would be a good result and a win would be totally exceptional. So I think given the fact that Basaksehir lost, I think it gives us a bit of hope. It'll go down to the wire, but I still think Basaksehir have enough quality and enough steam to carry themselves over the line.
Arman, same question.
they still have a chance because they do play Basaksehir, so they can. If they both win out, they can at least drop it to 2 points and hope for the best on the last week. But of course, there's still a few more games to play beforehand. But I still think Basaksehir is going to win it, and I feel like if they do win it, then Galatasaray fans are going to look back to this game, saying that we should have won this game. Because I think if Galatasaray did win this game, all they would have to do is win out and beat Basaksehir, and then that would be it. Of course, Galatasaray still has Besiktas to play at home though, so they don't have to go to Vodafone. But I think they blew a very good chance after Basaksehir dropping points the day before.
Yeah, Burak, same question.
I think it's going to come down to the Galatasaray Basaksehir game. I think that's going to be a title deciding game. Like Arman just said, Galatasaray have got to play Besiktas still. If Besiktas continue on this run of form, that could be a tricky game. But it's going to be at Vodafone, and they'll probably get
Turk Telecom.
That's Turk Telecom. Sorry, I get my shebekes mixed up sometimes when I'm excited, shall we say. So that's going to be Turk Telecom. But I'd expect Galatasaray to win that with maybe a little bit of help from Abdulrahman Albayrak's crying. They'll probably get that game. But I think Galatasaray still in with a chance. If both teams have still got to play Rizespor as well, who are going to give them a good game, and I think it's going to come down to Galatasaray Basaksehir. I think the league will set it up to make that the title decider, and it'll be interesting. But I'm going to say Galatasaray still have a chance.
Okay. Then I think the next question I had is a little bit redundant. I was going to ask whether are Galatasaray going to salvage second place, or are they going to give it away in the last 6 weeks? But I think that's a discussion to be had in a couple more weeks, perhaps. But let's move over to the final match on match day 28, and that one was Erzurumspor against Akhisarspor. This one, major relegation implications, a crucial match. Whoever lost this one could probably call it quits, especially if that losing side would be Erzurum. And it looked like it was going to be Erzurum for a while there after Elvis Manu had put an Akhisar ahead in the 60th minute. But as has happened quite often this season, Akhisar take the lead in the second half but lose the match. And that same thing happened here after Ibrahim Agda had equalized in the 73rd minute, and then just 4 minutes later, Gilles Sunu made it 2-1 in the 77th minute. Both assists on that goal coming from Emre Bashan, and I don't remember if it's the first or the second goal, but Lukac should really have come out to put pressure on Emre to prevent, I think that was the equalizer. So Akhisar, after their win last week on Göztepe, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they were about to almost crawl out of that relegation zone, at least going on level points with Göztepe, just 1 point behind Bursaspor with a win, but then they gave it away. Erzurumspor get their first win under new coach Hamza Hamzaoğlu, and hold on, now they have 25 points, so with a win against Bursa, I believe they play Bursa next week, or the week after. I know Umut's got the fixtures up, but Erzurum still playing Bursa. Akhisar still playing Bursa too, I think. So relegation zone is extremely exciting right now. Erzurum hold on a lifeline. They can still stay in. It's gonna be tough, without a doubt. And I think we already spoke a lot about the relegation zone, and everyone already kind of gave his favorites for who is going to go down. But I'm going to ask you too, Arman, who do you think are going to be the 3 lucky ones to play in the TFF First Division next season?
I think the fact that Akhisar lost, I think that was their chance to maintain. I think they still have it. They still have a chance, but it's not looking good after today's game. Erzurum, I think that's one favorite I have. Bursa is another one I think is going to drop. The third one is I'm still not so certain yet, but I probably would throw in Akhisar. I wouldn't be surprised if they won a couple games to get them back in, get them back safe. But I can see Erzurum and Bursa dropping because Bursa has been dreadful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think Göztepe has been dreadful too. I think a lot's going to be decided in the next 3 matches. We're going to probably know. But at this point, I think the ones who are in the bottom 3 are probably going to go down. Even though, if I'm quite honest, I would prefer Göztepe to stay up. But they just seem to have too little up front to really keep them there. Bursa...
Also, keep in mind, Bursa and Göztepe do play each other in the 33rd week. So
Bursa and Göztepe still play each other. Bursa still plays Akhisar and do still play Erzurum as well, so I'm not mistaken. Umut, can you pull up the next 3 fixtures for the relegation candidates, please?
Yeah. Göztepe has the Cameron-Jerome effect. Don't forget that.
Göztepe is facing Erzurumspor at home next week and Basaksehir away. Coming back to Izmir to play with Antalyaspor and home again with Sivasspor. And the final 2 matches are like Bursaspor versus Göztepe and Göztepe versus Ankaragücü.
Okay. What about the other Erzurum? What about Erzurumspor?
Erzurumspor will face Göztepe next week, Antalyaspor next week away, and then come to Erzurum to play with Bursaspor, then go to Malatya to play with Malatyaspor, then face to Fenerbahçe and Kayserispor.
And Akhisar?
Akhisar is facing versus Antalyaspor, then they will play a Turkish Cup versus Ümraniyeспor, which will make them tired, I think. And they will face Bursaspor away, Akhisarspor, and they will go to Malatya. They will face Malatya at home, Fenerbahçe away, at home with Kayserispor, and the final matches against Konyaspor away.
Yeah, very difficult, and I think there's only Bursaspor left, and they have all these other teams still in their schedule, if I'm not mistaken, Umut?
Yeah, wait a minute. Let's see. Bursaspor will face Kasımpaşa away. Then they will face against Akhisar. After that, they will go to Erzurum and Antalyaspor away a second time, and Göztepe. And after that, they will face Malatyaspor. I think the hardest one is Göztepe, which is playing against Basaksehir.
Yeah. The other ones have had all the big clubs already. Have all had except for maybe Malatyaspor is still in there. So Malatyaspor could actually be the deciding factor in the relegation battle because they play all of these teams still, if I'm not mistaken. So they could make some good coin if they just sell those games. But that'll do it for the matchday 28 results. Let's quickly have a look at the table. I'm just going to pull that up here. There we go. So the matchday 29, after matchday 29 is done and dusted. Medibol Basaksehir still at the top of the table with 61 points. Galatasaray in second place with 56. Besiktas are in third with 53 and are now 8 points behind the leaders and 3 points behind Galatasaray. And then of course we have Trabzonspor closing off the top 4 with 49 points, continuing to stay 4 points behind Besiktas, and Besiktas still have to go to Trabzon, so that could still be interesting. Then for that 5th place, which we have already mentioned a couple of times, which could still give a right to Europa League tickets, we have 3 teams that are on level points there. We have Malatyaspor, Alanyaspor, and Antalyaspor all on 38 points. Then we have 2 teams on 37 points with Çaykur Rizespor and Kasımpaşa. And then we still have 2 points on 36 teams on 36 points with Kayserispor and Sivasspor. Çaykur Rizespor, of course, looking really good right now, but they play Basaksehir, so they could be dropping some points, but we don't know yet. And then let's look at the bottom of the table, where Akhisar is dead bottom right now with 24 points. Erzurumspor in 17th place with 25. In 16th place, Göztepe with 27. And then we have Bursaspor in 15th place with 28 points. And then there's a 5-point gap with Fenerbahçe and with Fenerbahçe, sorry. So, yeah, Fenerbahçe kind of out of the relegation zone now. I think those 5 points will definitely, those 6 points really, will definitely be enough for them. But those 4 teams still very much in the battle, in the thick of things. But I think that'll do it for this week. We had a very lengthy derby discussion. I want to thank all of you gentlemen for coming on and, giving your thoughts on the Fenerbahçe Galatasaray derby. So, thank you all, and thank you for listening to Football a la Turca episode 9, and we hope to have you all back next week for episode 10. Thank you, and good night, good morning, or good afternoon, whenever you listen to this program.
Indeed. And on behalf of myself, I'd like to say thank you to Umut and Özer. As much as we are rivals, life wouldn't be the same without Galatasaray in it. So thank you for giving us stuff to talk about.
Very kind of you.
The one compliment you've had for today.
Yeah.